Okay. We apologize for the slight delay in starting this. It was slated to start by 10 a.m. But as we all know, technology can sometimes disappoint us. Be that as it may, we're starting now, and we're very grateful that you made out the time to join us. Our guest is Chief Ben Etiaba, one of the APC gubernatorial aspirants for Anambra State. We're going to ask questions, and at the end of it all, we'll allow participants from either our social media platforms like Facebook or through the Zoom to put in their own questions to him. And I would like to, my name is Jideofor, Adibe, and I would like to set the ball rolling. The interview is conducted in conjunction with the News Chronicle. If you are joining us through the Facebook, please do well to like the News Chronicle. Let me start straight so that we don't waste a lot of time. You're quite an accomplished private individual, chartered accountant, chairman of the Indigo Golf Club, and the rest of them. Why do you want to be governor? Is it so that we can call you Your Excellency?
First of all, thank you, Prof. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this platform. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, really. But let me go straight to your question and provide the answer as much as I can do. I am running for governor in Anambra because I am frustrated. I'm not running because I want to add another title to what I may or may not already have. But I'm running because I'm frustrated. Things are not going right. Not going right in my local government, not going right in my state. Things are not going right in my country. Things are not going right in Africa. So I run because I feel that there's a need to begin to take the right steps towards the destination. I know that success is a journey and never a destination, but we need to begin to move on the right path. Otherwise, we'll keep wallowing and where we are and blaming ourselves and whoever else is our leader. So that's why I'm running. I'm running because I'm frustrated. No, I'm sure you know what I mean. I'm running because I see very basic things going wrong. I see very little things going wrong. And we're so fixated with the massive projects, big things, that we forget that the things that run the world are developed. And I'm running out of frustration, but because I am frustrated because I know that these are simple things that you or I can fix. But for some reason, when we get into office, tend not to remember why we're there. And we think it's a jump. So I'm running frustrated because I see an opportunity.
So what do you think you bring, especially on the table, that other candidates or other frustrated Nigerians are not able to? What is it, that unique marketing thing you think Chief Ben Etiaba FCA will bring to the table that others haven't?
Thank you. I'm not running because I think I'm better than anyone else, but I'm running because I think I'm different, which addresses what you're asking. Anambra needs an altruistic, selfless leader. We need a servant leader. We don't need a boss. And somebody especially who knows what the problems are, because until you work out what the issues are, you won't be able to address them. If we go back in history, we remember that in 1960, maybe by accident, we had Dr. MI as the premier of the Eastern region. Why did MI succeed where many failed? I'm not saying before him that Zik and others failed, they didn't fail. But why have we been failing since MI? We have lacked ever since then selfless leaders. We see leadership, politics, office, governance as an opportunity to enrich ourselves. And until we begin to see people who are legacy-oriented, who want to be known for what they accomplished in office, will continue to remain in the dark. So what I bring to the table is that humility, I mean, with every sense of humility that a leader should have. We tend to underrate the virtue of humility in leadership, okay? Not just being a critical thinker, a creative thinker, not just being a strategic mind, but you must be humble enough to know that you're there to serve the people and not to serve yourself and your family and your cronies.
I would like to ask you a question now that will be, there are three components to it.
Go ahead, sir.
And that flows exactly from this your the first is, you look like a very polished man, you lived abroad for many years. First, do you think you have the necessary rough edges to navigate through what's called the shocking waters of Nigerian politics? Your mom was a governor. From November
9th of February 2007.
I'm trying to create a political dynasty, especially given the fact that he was strongly involved. That's the second component. The third component is politics in Anambra State, especially gubernatorial contests, tend to be extremely exciting. It's often called battle of the billionaires. And when you say you want to run, there is what in street talk, they will ask you, do you have the capacity? Capacity in street talk does not mean the literate, the lexical meaning of capacity.
Yes.
So these three components are all we are.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm glad you brought up the issue of my mother.
Yeah.
I'd rather that I was running without her name coming up, because I want you to assess me as Ben Etiaba rather than Ben Etiaba's first son or son. But that's who I am, and I can't run away from that. It cuts both ways. It can be an advantage in some circles. It can be a disadvantage, like you pointed out. But let me begin. Given a period of time, over time, that you will agree with me that she did not disappoint Ghana. Okay? So she was able to navigate that. And if my mother at that time was able to navigate that without asking to be made governor, without preparing herself to be made governor, it follows from that, hey, I am better ready to slug it out. Okay? That's the first one. Secondly, political dynasty. I'm not running because my name is Etiaba. My surname is Etiaba. This year will be my 30th year in leadership, 30 year in leadership. I started leading at the age of 27 when I won my first election as the chairman of Nnewi Community Association of Great Britain and Ireland. You lived in England, so you imagine where a bachelor at 27, because from childhood I was showing leadership traits. So the grandfathers, the fathers, the people that did the Nnewi politics with my father in the 50s, 1950s and 60s, and their children elected me as the first chairman of Nnewi Community Association of Great Britain. So that was 30 years ago, I was 27. After that, I became the first Igbo person to be chairman of the Institute of Accountants of Nigeria in the United Kingdom. Okay? And since then, the only person who ever served, chairman who ever served for 2 terms, because my members were happy with my leadership. Okay, at the time. I mean, you can ask them, but obviously that would have been why I had a second term unopposed, and nobody has had that ever since. Okay, I'm not better than anyone else. I keep saying it, but I am different. I'm telling you how prepared I am for this battle, not because I'm an Etiaba and I've just come out. Before I came back to Nigeria, I've been back. I lived in England for 25 years. I had all my children there, but I brought everybody back because our politicians will say, oh, vote for me, my kids will come back and study, I'll fix education in Nigeria. My kids will come back and be a part of it and study here. But I came back with them, and they all went through primary school, secondary school, first degree in Nigeria, because I believe in this country. Okay? But before I came back, the then president of us just set up an umbrella for Nigerian professionals. He wanted, along with the High Commissioner, to have an umbrella group that will unite all Nigerian architects. An election was called. And against expectations, including against my own expectation, I emerged the first chairman of the London group. That was the last thing I did before coming back to Nigeria. And when I came back to Nigeria, I chose to live in Igbo land. Didn't want Abuja. Life is sweet in Abuja. I didn't want Lagos, where so much money and the sort of services I could offer the clients were there. Not even Port Harcourt that was close. I chose Igbo land. Enugu, essentially a civil servant's town. But I wanted to live in Igbo land. For the last 14 years, I trained my kids there. Okay? I chose to lead in Nigeria, to impact a little, because to me, leadership is not about, it doesn't have to be big. I keep saying it. It can be very small. You can give me a kiosk to run, and I'll run it properly. So it is from the way somebody runs a small entity that will show you what he or she will do when they have the bigger stage. So I did that. I led the golf section of Enugu Sports Club, and the first person to do it within 3 years of being a member. Nobody ever achieved that within 3 years of membership since 1929, and I did it for 2 terms, and I did 15 projects in 2 years without asking them for 1 naira, just goodwill, asking friends for donations. And we did that. Off the back of that, I became the first person to be elected chairman of Enugu Sports Club within 5 years of being a member of the club since 1929, and I did 2 terms unopposed. Okay, so I give you this history just to show you that I haven't just come out to lead because my son is Etiaba. No, in fact, in some ways, it's even it hinders in projects like this, like you pointed out. So it's a start. But let me finally address the third arm of your question, battle royale of the billionaires. I am a proud member of the All Progressives Congress, and my aspiration is being done in my party, APC. And in APC, I can tell you 4 billionaires that I'm up against. Okay, you know them, I won't have to name them. These are people who are billionaires or have access to billions. I don't have that. Okay, so how am I then going to triumph? That's in APC alone. We're 12 in APC running for. Okay, I'm counting. But we'll know finally whether we'll pick up our tickets and special interest funds and donation funds, so you know the final total. But if you look at PDP, for instance, 16 already. Yeah. And they have more, bigger billionaires than APC with and Monster. So Anambra is a battle of titans. Look at even YPP. I mean, the senator, you know his capacity. So Anambra is a place where you come and you have to slog it out with the billionaires. But you know what? It is not the billions that will elect anybody governor. The money is good. You spend it. And this is the time, it's bazaar for the delegates at the moment. They're getting money left, right, and center. Many of the political parties are getting donations of vehicles, and aspirants are competing amongst themselves. I'll give 10 vehicles, and you will give 11, just to 1 more than I have given. It's all wonderful. It's all part of the carnival, But underneath all of these things must lie the serious message that this is serious business. Because I tell you what happens, Prof. Every 4 years, we seem to lose our minds. Anambra is the light of the nation. Every 4 years, we seem to lose our minds. And all we're thinking is money. Oh, Ben is spending 1,000 naira. Mr. B is doing 1 million. And then we're so excited, like little kids in a toy shop, okay? Scrambling over chocolates in the supermarket. After the elections, we all wake up and we come back to our senses. And we begin to think, oh, what did we just do? That is 8 years that you just imprisoned yourself. Okay? So what I say, this is the time to wake up and get it right. Well, this is a golden opportunity. Anambra is on a precipice at the moment. We cannot afford to get it wrong because of 1 naira or 2 naira. And then we wallow in pity for 8 years complaining. Wake up, my people. I say this is the time to get it right.
Thank you, Chief. Let me just follow up. 2 questions. You are running under the APC.
Yes.
In Igbo land, Buhari is not the most popular person in Igbo land. Let's just put it as a fact. From 2015, when he started running to be president. In fact, you can say the Igbos have never opposed any politician as much as they have opposed Buhari. And I think then you had the 5% and 95% or 97% that maybe that matters worse. Now, many people believe that perceptions or misperceptions of Buhari in Igbo land, whichever one is the accurate one, somehow percolates, gets to the APC itself, so that the perception of the APC is almost synonymous with the perception of Buhari in Igbo land. Now, assuming that you win, you get this ticket to run the flag for APC, how are you going to navigate being a member of what they will call the wrong party?
Oh my God. Thanks, bro. First of all, I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that as an aspirant in APC, I don't accept hook, line, and sinker your characterization of Mr. President. I'm sure you won't be surprised that I'll say that. Okay. So that's the first one. So let me detach myself from that. But to say this to you, that the next candidate of APC in Anambra 2021 will be a son or daughter of Anambra State, not of any other state. So it just doesn't matter what you tell me, which you say, people feel, and I'm not saying you're wrong or you're lying. That's you feel it. That's why, yeah, that's your perception. But you know that sometimes perception cannot be reality. Let me take you back a while. You recall that we had a different party for 16 years in Nigeria. Can you name what that party did for Anambra State in 16 years? Can you tell me? In just 6 years of this APC government, we are having the second Niger bridge being rushed to completion by Julius Berger, the best in Nigeria, and no longer PPP. So we don't have you won't have. It's no longer tolling. It's not going to be a tolling bridge. You go on that bridge free. Okay. We had, within just a few months of being a president, the Zik Mausoleum commissioned in honor of Nigeria's first president, the Great Zik of Africa, done by the APC government. We had the face there for everybody to see in Anambra State, okay? Now, I don't know the last time you were in Anambra, you drove through Obosi. Exactly. I'm sure you saw the Obosi interchange. It's like something you see in Atlanta, being done by Chief Ben Etiaba in Anambra, okay? We are rushing, the APC government, rushing the express road from Onitsha to Amansi. I'm sure you've noticed that. Yes. For 16 years, you can tell a different story. But let me not even go there. We have a lot of constituencies in Anambra, federal constituencies. In almost every one of them, there's a federal project going on as we speak. And because APC, we don't have any senator, we don't have any member of the House of Reps, and that's part of what Ben Etiaba, as candidate of APC and governor of Anambra State, will begin to address. Because we don't have senators, we don't have House of Reps. Our members, honorable members in the Federal House of Reps and our senators are claiming these federal projects as their projects. And whenever I say this, I always have this proviso, I don't blame them. If I was in their position, I would do the same thing. But it's actually APC funded projects, federal government funded projects, not APC, federal government, you know what I mean, APC office. So the party and the federal government, we are feeling quite a lot of presence. If you come to my community, to my constituency, federal constituency, come on, the number of roads done in the last 4 years, funded by this government. So what? Who will go cap in hand, begging the federal authorities to come in and help? I want you to have a seat at that table and to say, look, we have 36 states in Nigeria, give us our fair share, and they will listen.
Let me just question there. What you say is that you want to take them to the center.
Exactly.
You don't want will have in mind.
No.
In Igbo land, until recently, you know that people talk about Igbo politics being driven by the philosophy of the man follows the goat follows the man with the palm front. And some people actually believe that it's that change, the gradual change in that idea that once you show contract or these things to an Igbo politician who will follow you. I think that's the general belief that the Igbos are beginning to move away from that form of politics. Are you trying to say you bring it back? The politics,
that's what I'm saying.
The politics of
asking for
the good following the man.
No, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I was a bit distracted with the comments. Now, that's what I'm saying. I am not going cap in hand to beg. That's the point. That's exactly what I don't want to do. I am asking for the fair share, our right. Okay? Now, even if only we go, and we goats.
No, but if you are politics, because you want to take them to the center, yes. Is there not an implicit belief that idea of the man, we should follow the man, the goat should follow the man with the power?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. There's another adage in the Bible. It's he who's closest to the face that can slap. If you're not close enough, if you're not in that room when decisions are being taken, decisions will be taken against your interest. But if you are there to speak up for your people and to get your fair share, no, you're not begging. We will not beg. We're very proud people in Anambra. We're very proud. But you have a governor who is self-confident enough to know that these are the needs of his people. These are the options he has, and he can access these options by going to that seat, going to that point, going to that source, and getting his own fair share, not to beg for it, but ask for his own right. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. What has happened, I'm not sure he asked for, but as Ndiwo, I understand Jideofor. So as the Chief Security Officer of the state, I wish him well, and I hope he's able to control things in the remaining months until hopefully the next election and the next governor comes to deal with the issue of security. But in education ought to have been #1 priority for us. But because you cannot attack any sector where the environment is not safe. So that was why we listed security as #1. But if you think of education, year on year, Anambra comes third on the league table of results. And that is, with every sense of appreciation, the result of what previous governments have done before now. But what we want to do, Anambra is the light of the nation, and I can't begin to tell you why. You're from Anambra State. We want to go from 3 in 4 years to the first position. And this is easy to do. #1, have you gone around the state to look at our schools? They don't look like schools. Most of them, no perimeter fencing, okay? Some of them, without rules, I know the government is trying. I'm not running, this is not an attack on the government. And I'm not scared of attacking the government, by the way, but I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm here to say what I will do. Most of them without windows. So first of all, we'll make sure that the schools look right. Perimeter fencing, gate, fix the infrastructure, equip the schools, recruit the right teachers, retrain the existing teachers. Above all, motivate them, pay them properly now. Okay, you can't expect to have teachers turn out the best results when they are not motivated. Half the time they are taking care of their lock-up shops. They'll just run to schools, to their various schools to give in a few minutes or a few hours of the day. We don't want that. So make sure the schools are run properly. We studied abroad. You know what a school should be. So if you forget that, and by the way, you're asking where the money will come from. Let me tell you this. Do you know that every year Anambra reports less in IGR than Enugu State? How can that be? Enugu State is essentially a civil service place. There aren't major industries. You have a few, but obviously compared to Anambra, relatively speaking, okay? You don't have the markets we have in Anambra. So how come they are reporting more IGR than Anambra will do? And you know why. Your answer is as good as mine. So we are able to find the money from within without having to tax the people more. But what we must do, we will assess properly, we will levy properly, we will collect properly, we will account for the funds properly, and we will use the funds in Anambra to develop Anambra State. If you go to health sector, it is the same thing. When last did you see a world-class hospital in Anambra State? Whereas if you go to England, that you're used to, if you go to the US, you find many world-class medical professionals from Anambra State running those places. And now people live here on medical tourism to go to England to be taken care of by the same doctors that ran away from here. The US is the same. So why can we not, I'm not saying build more hospitals.
It's a reflection of a general problem of underdevelopment that you find in other states, including the FCA.
Yes, but I'm talking about Anambra. I'm not interested in Enugu or Imo State. This is about Anambra. Anambra is next. And I'm saying these things so that these things will begin to ring in our ears as we begin to choose the candidates of the parties next month. So that we'll begin to dwell less on how much money we have collected from the aspirants. Because that money won't last a week. But the problems you will create will last 8 years. Okay? Now, if you have hospitals that look like hospitals, equip them, train the doctors, make sure the doctors are rewarded, the right people are there, the results will be there. It's as simple as that. I have a friend, Dr. Joe, he comes in from Atlanta. God bless Governor Peter, who I believe brought him in initially, to operate. Joe will come, do a few days in Adibe, and then off back to Atlanta. Why can't we have Joe and people like you, have many of them, operating out of Anambra, given the right environment? Okay? So what I'm doing is I'm not doing a partisan thing. I offer myself. If it was possible to be an independent candidate, I will be running as an independent candidate. But you need a party to run under. I'm running in this election on the platform of APC. But I will govern Anambra State by His grace. If God says it is me. As only Anambra, not as only APC. As only Anambra. Ben Etiaba will behave the same way if you make him governor in Abga, or governor in the Labour Party, or governor in PDP, as he will behave as governor. Yes.
Let me ask you, it is believed,
yes,
especially since the time of COVID,
yes,
that religious politics have become very ascendant in Anambra politics, and the dichotomy is between Catholics and Anglicans, and it is believed, rightly or wrongly, that the Catholics are dominant, that you need to be this or that, that it really matters who the bishops and the other people in the Anglican, want to anoint as the governor. What would be your approach to this religious politics in Anambra State? How do you plan to navigate it so that your candidacy is not imperiled by that?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, as a proud APC aspirant, I'll say this to you. Last night, I was with Governor Adibe, Adibe, our first democratically elected governor. I spent 2 hours in his house in Asokoro, near your house, by the way. And one of the things he told me was that when he came out to run for governor, he was told he was never going to win in a state like Anambra because he was neither Anglican nor Catholic, but I think of Salvation Army. And he won. Our people are not that crazy to know, and we're not crazy at all to know that if you have an Anglican as governor and he messes it up, he'll mess it up for both Anglicans and Catholics. If you have a Catholic as a governor and he does badly, he'll be doing badly for all of us, for everybody. If you get it right, you get it right for everybody. So don't vote for me. Just like I said, don't vote for me because I'm from Navy. Don't vote for me because I'm an Anglican. Well, vote for me anyway. But let the reason be that Ben is the right person, okay, with the right courage, the right humility, the right experience to turn things around, to take us out of darkness and into light. Not because I'm an Anglican or a Catholic. I don't see, when I don't even know, are you a Catholic or an Anglican? I'm not.
But I will not tell you.
Exactly. So it just doesn't bother me. It just doesn't bother me. So I see right and I see wrong. I don't see Catholic and Anglican.
I just want your personal views on what is now called the Asaba Declaration, a meeting of the 17 governors from the southern part of the country, in which they made a lot of demands, ban on open grazing, etc., demand for restructuring. What to be your
Sorry, what distracted me? I was handed over some questions. I'll deal with those questions.
Okay, some readers? Or
yes, I think online, yes.
Okay. So please, those who are watching online, in Zoom, you can ask questions. Those from Facebook, you can send your questions. And Chief Ben Etiaba. But let's round up with this so that people will have opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, as of a declaration, you have the governors of the South come together to make a pronouncement. If you fail to support what they have come up with, that means you are ascribing more knowledge to yourself than all of them put together. So I'm all for the declaration as a declaration. I think I'll probably look at that.
Thank you very much. I think at this stage, say we've formally come to the end of the interview. My own questions to him. Then we'll throw it now back to the people watching, either through Zoom or through our live Facebook live streaming. If you have questions, you can either raise your hands if you're on Zoom, or send it across. And there are quite a number of questions coming around, and he will do well to answer.
Okay, Prof, thank you. Let me begin to, I have 3 questions, and let me begin with the most difficult one. What is your take on Biafra and the struggle within that region, and how will you intend to tackle it? Okay, before he died, Ojukwu was undoubtedly the Igbo leader. And he was my uncle too, blood uncle too. And as chairman of Nnewi Community Association of Great Britain and Ireland, which I mentioned earlier, it was my honor to invite the late, great Ikemba to address Ndigo in the United Kingdom. The first time he was doing so after the war, after 1970. And he came and obviously did justice to that invitation. But I recall late night on that visit, one night, we were together in his apartment in Regent's Park. And I asked him about Biafra. And what he told me that night, this was in the year 1996. What he told me that night shaped my view of Biafra till today. And he told me, Ben, forget about Biafra as a geographic expression. But know it that you're a Biafran and continue with Biafra of the mind. So I believe in Biafra of the mind. And what that means is that as a Biafran, you are expected to behave in a certain way. You are expected to exhibit certain traits, achieve certain things, and know when not to go further. So I believe, number one, in Biafra of the mind. Secondly, how will you deal with the Biafra agitation? The answer is quite simply this. Our people are very restive because of, I won't just say perceived, because of the injustice being felt. If it is possible with one magic wand to correct all of that, I can tell you that the agitations will die down substantially, not completely, but substantially. So what is then the solution? The solution is to do the much you can while waiting for plan B. And the plan A should be to begin to offer good leadership to our people. That's why I'm running. I want to offer myself. Offer leadership. If people can see and have a sense that tomorrow will be better than today, believe me, they'll begin to calm down. But if you live in a state of hopelessness, helplessness, what have you got to lose anyway? So let us begin and make sure we don't lose this golden opportunity to retrace our steps and begin to entrench the right leadership in Anambra State. If we get it right in Anambra, it will trickle down to the other Igbo states. And the agitations will begin to calm down. Why, the second question, why do you have to wait until you become governor before advising on security and education? Okay, let me deal with this simply. You know, the governors, by our constitution, every governor is the chief security officer of a state. And every governor has access to intelligence information. I know this, and I'm sure many of you know that I should know this. Unless you have full access to intelligence on security, you'll be doing the wrong thing. You'll be saying the wrong thing. If you don't know what the problem is, you won't know how to begin to address it. Even when you have access to that intelligence, you don't just come to the pages of newspapers and begin to say what those issues are and what you're going to do about them. So the issue of security, I'm sure that we have enough discerning minds to know that you deal with it tactfully. On education, I think I dealt with education. On agriculture, I didn't get to it. You want to know my take on agriculture? Yeah, you can. Anambra has over 98% arable land, but we just let it waste. Etiaba was able to develop the eastern region with agriculture in the 60s. He went to Israel and brought them in. Okay? Now, if he could do that and turn the economy of the eastern region to one of the fastest growing economies of the world in the 60s, within 4 years, that assessment was made from a team of economic professors from Massachusetts State University. They came up with that. It was Professor Anya that stumbled into their report. And today, everybody's quoting that without knowing the source. Okay, so I credit Professor Anya for that. If MI could do that in the 60s, why can't Ben Etiaba, somebody, it doesn't have to be me, but a creative leader with a great worldview, why can't we do better in agriculture? So we're going to use agriculture to develop Anambra, to feed ourselves, to earn, to curb unemployment, and that not just food security, but state security too. Okay, because once people are engaged and they have monies coming in, they have little time for frivolities and bad thinking, bad thoughts. For proper development, engagement, and representation, local government is required to deliver indices of sustainable development at that level. Will it be your priority if you're successful? Okay, I can commit. This is not a wise political thing to do, but I will do it anyway. I can commit that if I am lucky to be elected governor of Anambra State, that I will conduct local government election within the first 18 months of my governorship. And the reason is very simple. Most of the developments you see everywhere in the world are not done by the central government. They are done at the local level, virtually everything. So for as long as you're stifling local government democracy, development will be hard to come by in Anambra State. So we are going to make sure that upon being sworn in, we will constitute a proper state electoral commission that will be saddled with the responsibility of conducting local government elections within 18 months. This is not rocket science, it can be done. Some states are doing it. Why are we not doing it in Anambra? You and I know why. I don't want to dwell on it. Okay? So I don't want to dwell on it. I want to ensure that we elect the right people, because by doing that, come on, we have a lot of politicians following all the aspirants at the moment. They're not doing that because you're handsome or because of even the money you're giving them. How much money are you giving them? But they want to be a part of the process. And the only way they can be a part of the process is if you free up the space for them to take part at that grassroots level to develop these things. It's going to be a win-win for everybody, a win for Anambra State. All these things that I say I will do are not going to be done because Ben Etiaba has a magic wand. There was something Ronald Reagan said when he was president, that the greatest leaders of the world are not the ones that do the greatest things, but the leaders that get others, able to get others to do the greatest things. If I'm able to tap into your talent, and you do have quite a bit of talent, and I'm not patronizing you, you know the circumstance I brought you from England to Nigeria. If I'm able to tap into your talent, any success flowing from that will accrue to that leader that put the team together. It's as simple as that. What we want as governors want to be lords, as bosses. That's why I'm saying to Anambra, it is time to have a servant as your governor, not a boss. That's again part of why I am running. And what advice have you given to previous governments on what they are not doing right? Well, I think it will be very pompous of me to begin to say that I told Governor Obia not to do this and he didn't do it. I told Governor Obia to do Governor Etiaba or Governor Adibe. By the way, in 3 years of His Excellency Dr. Christian in Anambra, you saw the difference. Okay? That's what we're going to build on, improve on. We already have a solid foundation to stand on. And today he's the leader of the party in my state. So I have never been a party to shouting, being an activist. This is my own activism. What you're seeing now this is what I intend to do to change the status quo. You can shout all you want. The governor has advisors that he pays, the state pays to advise him. So if he's not taking their advice, is it yours that he will take because you've just written a line on Facebook or on WhatsApp? Okay? I will, by his grace, be somebody that will listen. Okay? But above all, somebody who will know that he doesn't know it all. Okay? The key to success, Brasolos, I'm quoting now, the key to success is to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. And I'm doing that already in this campaign too. I'm doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. And nobody understands what Ben is doing. They're saying he's not serious. So I'm allowed. Thank you.
You said something that I need to out.
Yes.
You kept emphasizing on this being a servant leader, a humble leader.
Yes.
And it just reminds me of what Dr. Ruben Abanti wrote. And I'm sure you've heard about it. The Aso Rock demons, which people, once they get elected, there is something that like a demon that takes possession of them and they become totally different.
I don't agree with that.
I call it in political science system dynamics. Something like
Let me address that. I don't believe in that. See, I've held many positions in life, leadership positions, 5 major leadership positions in 30 years. Okay? And part of what drives me going into those positions is to prove to myself that this position will not change me. We tend to listen to manifestos too much and not ask questions about the people standing in front of us. If you elect, let me even tell you this. You know, my mother was deputy governor to Governor Etiaba. And I recall the first day Etiaba came to my house in the village to tell us that he was going to run as Governor Etiaba. Then he wasn't Governor, he was Etiaba then. My brother-in-law asked him, but Peter, he wasn't Governor, just as Peter. You sound right. But when you get into office, you will change like the rest of them. I will never forget the answer he gave. You know what he said? That office never changes anybody. What the office does is to bring out the true you, the true Professor Adibe. When you see people misbehave in positions of authority, that's who they are. It's not the office that has done that to them. So always look at the antecedents of whoever is before you and not their bank balance and not the money that they are giving you. Again, let me put what Governor Adibe told you last night, and I'm sure this is harmless. A lot of the things we discussed, I won't say it here because most of them will remain private and confidential. But one of the things he said to me last night, I shouldn't worry about the amount of money going around now. It's a bazaar, okay? That every money doled out has an expiry date in politics. Have you thought about it? I laughed. Nobody can ever know the expiry date. I think the moment that money goes into that pocket, the person that collected it has expired. It will be for the next one. So instead of, yes, no, that's wisdom. So instead of looking for that bitterness, filthy lucre, I'll call it, why don't you go for proper reasons? Go for great thinkers. Go for great doers. I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one who can do this in the race. I'm not saying, come on, I'm not a saint. There are others. If not Ben Etiaba, who's one of the others? Let us get it right. We cannot afford to get it wrong anymore. We can't keep, I said, if you keep doing the same thing, the same way, the same all the time, the result will be the same. I'm tired of this. If I don't do it now, I think I'll die a frustrated man. I'd rather give it my best shot. If God says it's not me, my prayer is Chineke that people give us somebody who's better than Ben. That's my prayer. It doesn't have to be me. But Ben should be the minimum benchmark. Give Anambra somebody who's better than me. I'll be happy, and the people will be happy. There's another question here. What do you do or bring to this position that will help to promote growth to students? Okay, this is a general question, because in terms of growth to students, I'm not quite sure what he means. But what do you do to promote education? I've talked about that. So if you get people trained right, yes. Oh, well, okay, that's what he's referring to as a professor. Okay, so you probably know that. Okay. First of all, when we can subsidize education, we will subsidize education. When we can't subsidize, we will do it. We'll look at the figures. I'm not going to sit here because it will sound right to say so. One thing you will never get from me is to promise something I know that I will not do, just to be elected. I will not do that. Some people say, just come and promise free education, free healthcare, and you'll be elected. No, I don't believe in that. There is nothing, no such thing as a free lunch. Okay? So where we can subsidize, we will. We'll look at the bigger finance base and how we can afford that. Okay, so that's one area. But we want, above all, to make sure that we train students who will be ready to face the job market. Because a lot of our graduates are unemployable. I mean, when I came back from England 14 years ago, it took about 20 interviews before I could find a personal secretary in my office. So just make sure we train our people, get them ready for this, retrain them as well. What is not just throwing money at problems, because I'm sure you want to hear that Ben will give every student X amount of money as governor and all that. I don't believe in throwing money at problems. Money will not solve problems, but good ideas and a little money can solve it. What is your town planning policy for urban areas and town councils, given the massive urbanization and interlock mindset resulting in the erosion? Okay, this is both an environmental and town planning issue. I'm active on WhatsApp, on social media. A lot of people don't like it. They say you're campaigning too much on social media. Because tough, I'll do more social media. Yes. You see, this election is going to be the first social media election in Anambra. This one will be the first. Okay, social media will play a big role because you know about the security issues we have. So gone will be the days of big rallies in massive open fair stadiums and big town halls. Okay, social media, because a lot of people now have this device. Okay, what we're doing now, we're accessing a lot of people remotely. And what is important is actually not the people listening to us now, not just them, but the trickle-down effect that will have, because opinions are being molded now as we speak. Okay, the people that would have interfaced with us this morning will have their influencers. They'll have people listening to them. Okay, so but let me get back to the question about town planning. So I belong to a lot of WhatsApp groups, but I don't have time to do that. I can send one-on-one to people, and then I have a good social media team, so they do the group work. But I stumbled into one yesterday, one of the platforms from the mail, and whoever wrote, I don't know his name, it was just one of those accidental. Wrote, Etiaba is running as governor. And listed other people, they did not mention their names, bring them into this, but he didn't know, they listed them with a picture of a dump site, a major place in the Bank Road, now being overtaken by garbage. All over Anambra is like that. So our aspirants, what are you going to do about this? That's what this person has asked. Okay, the place is filthy. That's why I'm telling you that the next governor must be somebody who has eyes for details, eyes for the small things. It is the small things that run the world, not the mega projects. The mega projects are wonderful. The governor has just done an airport. God bless him, I like that. The airport is done, so we won't have to worry about it. Rushing an international conference center to completion, God bless him, we won't have to do that. Of course, we have to wrap in the center that we need to, obviously, ought to have it fixed, but it just doesn't matter. He chose his priority, he's doing that. Legacy projects. He's done 3, 5, wonderful. But what are we doing about the small things that run Anambra State? This is an environmental disaster. I'll give you one example of what I'll do differently. Because I quoted Brasolos. What are one of the things I'll do differently? You won't get a Ben Etiaba about awarding contracts, doing new roads. Waste of time. Anambra has, again, courtesy of previous governors, the best network of roads of any state in Nigeria, the best. But all our roads, virtually all of them are potholed at the moment. So why go to create new roads so that people will say, Ben, because I'm chasing legacy, Ben did those roads. We will begin to do the small things by fixing all the potholes in Anambra. We think there's no reason why if somebody like Ben Etiaba is sworn in as governor on the 17th of March 2022, that's my prayer, if it pleases God, why Anambra should have potholes by that Christmas?
Sorry to intervene. I'm beginning to think not like a traditional politician, because I remember we had a discussion with a governorship aspirant then from another state. I think he eventually won. He said, if you are going to come for re-election, are you going to tell people I invested in qualitative education and they are looking at what is qualitative education? Or are you going to tell them I constructed this road and bridges? Because people relate with the tangibles.
Thank you very much, Prof. You see, that is the small-mindedness of the African I'm referring to. Yeah. I will do the opposite to what that governor said. Okay? Yeah. The things that run the world are those intangible things. Okay? There was something Maya Angelou said, and I quote her, and I believe it. Now, people will forget what you said, that people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. To that governor, he believes that doing those roads at Goliath is the answer. No. When you fix education, when you fix healthcare, when the place is safe, the property, lives are secure and safe. When we have achieved food security, the economy is booming, people will remember that leader that did that. That's why today, many decades after, I am still talking about Dr. M.I. Opara. I love Zik, the great Zik of Africa, for many reasons, for many things he did. But the greatest was giving the Igbo nation M.I. Opara as a leader. Okay? We'll never forget Zik for that. I will never forget M.I. Opara. So people, I can't tell you the roads he constructed, but I will always tell you that M.I. left a good impact on the memory and the minds of my parents. And I grew up to read about him because I was young when he was a premier. And in fact, a documentary came out, thanks to Patrick Okibo, Center for Memories. And they're good because I've been collaborating with them over the years, over the months. On M.I. Opara, and I contributed. And I never met him. I want kids 50 years from now to talk about Ben Etiaba, that there was a man who lived, who tried to do his best for his people. Thank you, Bishop. How do you intend to play? Yeah, I have more questions. How do you intend to play an all-inclusive governance when you win? And how do you intend to manage the opposition? Oh my God. Part of a good governance is to carry people along, as we say, carry along. But you know, in Nigeria, in Nigerian parlance, you know what carrying along means?
It's a different thing.
But we'll do the right one. We'll carry people along. I think that's the best way to do it. And why is this question is, let me use this opportunity to address the issue of youth involvement in politics and the involvement of women in politics. It is no surprise that as the son of the only female governor in Nigeria, that I will not run a male ticket if I win the ticket of APC on the 26th of June, 6 or so weeks from today. If by grace I win, that the deputy governorship candidate first will be a woman. And by his grace, if we win, the next deputy governor of Anambra State will be a woman. So that's women. But I also say this to our women, that I intend to partner with women 60-40. I'll make sure that at least we'll have 40% representation of women in governance.
More than Beijing.
Exactly, precisely more than that. Okay, not to make a point, but because our women are sharp. And I'm not patronizing them. Please don't feel patronized. Our women are bright. I have a daughter who's sort of better than me. Put it that way. So my mother, so we'll accommodate our women 60-40, and they'll have the second slot. But apart from that, the youth. I am no longer young. I'm 57 now, a proud 57-year-old. So why will I be chasing office of governor at the age of 57 when we have a lot of young ones, as good or better, who can do the job? Obviously, I've said why I'm running, but I also extend that olive branch to the young ones to say that in that government, we will partner with the youth 50-50, not 60-40. 60-40 with the women, or 50-50 with the youth. And what that means is that some of those women will be amongst the 50% of the youth. Some of them will be amongst the, So with the youth, we'll partner with you. And the reason is this: we want to groom the next set of leaders. We want to lead good examples, lead by example, groom the next set to come. Okay, and I'm not saying again that I have the magic wand. All of us, all hands on deck, will be on deck to get this done. But once the leader is altruistic, this is why I keep talking about this servant leadership. Once the leader is altruistic, selfless, the people will follow, will lead by example, and the state will benefit. We'll have more questions. How do I intend to manage the opposition? You manage the opposition. Huh? Okay. How do you intend to manage the opposition? You find that in most states, even in media, state-owned media set up, the opposition wouldn't have a say. In appointments, they wouldn't have a say. Yes, of course, it will be an APC government. It will be run by APC members. But if we have capacity, we find desired capacity outside of the party, we will ensure that we draft such capacity in. Because after all, the benefit of that capacity will accrue to the government. So being not antagonizing the opposition is not doing the opposition a favor. It's also helping you when you can free the opposition to criticize constructively. You'll be on your toes and you can do better. Anybody who's been following me will know that I've done a lot of media interviews. And this happens when somebody's chasing power and then you elect them. And once they're in office, you don't get to see them again or hear from them. But one of the things I promise is that I'm going to have a monthly live media rally to ensure that the people can have access to the government. And of course, we'll set up some mechanisms to ensure that if there's a complaint, it gets to the desk or to the required desk, and if it's something that needs the attention of the governor, then if I'm the governor, we'll address that. How do we hold you accountable? What have you done? Okay, well, how do we hold you accountable? What have you done with the little money and positions you have held? Thank you. Again, if you listened to me earlier, I said that this is the question that you ought to be asking. Anywhere I have been re-elected unopposed. And anywhere I have been, I have left a mark. And that's why today I can sit today to address you boldly to say I'm running for governor, because I've prepared myself and the projects I did are there for anybody. Put a call through to anybody in Enugu. Just say Ben Etiaba, they'll tell you what I did in Enugu. If you try calling anybody in England, they'll also tell you what I did when I was in England, the people I helped, the jobs I created. So those are the things I can point to. Those are the things I can point to as what I have done with the little money available. What I did at Enugu Sports Club, testimony, not from me. They are telling me that since 1929, no chairman did that. That's what I get. And my prayer is not the second one they are saying, that in the next 100 years, nobody will do as much as I have done. I'm not praying. We have a new chairman who just started office. I pray that he surpasses what I did as chairman of Enugu Sports Club. But anywhere I go, I leave a footprint. Anambra possesses one of the highest rate of cottage industries. What are your plans for small, medium enterprise that drives the economy? Thank you so much. You know I'm from Nnewi. And if any place can best demonstrate this, it's my hometown. And I have seen the benefits of having these cottage industries. Nnewi is an affluent place. And that's as a result of the decision our people took after the war to begin to cite those industries in our town. And this, I'll have to give the biggest credit to our royal father, Igwe Orisu, because he, CON, he pioneered this. He got Nnewi citizens with the right capacity to begin to set up industries in Nnewi. And today, Igwe is living to reap the benefit of the fruits, because he's the longest serving monarch in Igbo land. He was inaugurated before I was born. Igwe was inaugurated in June of 1963. So if you want to know how old Igwe has been on the throne, look at this gray hair. Look at this gray hair. That's how old he has been. He was inaugurated months before I was born. And to mark his 40th year in office on the throne, Igwe made me the youngest chief in Nnewi when I was conferred with the title Ifeanyi. That's why I'm wearing this red cap, Ifeanyi Nnewi. Yes, of course, last December, in preparation for what the Igbo community believe will manifest, I was installed as a Chikwado, one of Igbo. So, but Igwe first made me a chief, 20 years ago. So, in terms of industries, we know as an Nnewi person. So we will intend to replicate that. It doesn't have to be cited. These things done. We're going to have industrial hubs, okay? Major industrial hubs in all the 3 senatorial zones. In fact, the development that the APC government led by Ben Etiaba will bring in will be spread across the 3 senatorial zones. It won't be concentrated in just one area. But if we have a predominance of natural reasons to site it in a particular location, then we'll do that. But every zone will benefit, and that's what we intend to do. You have a plan for electricity, knowing fully well posted of the national grid. You know, in our constitution, you have a number of things on the exclusive list that the state cannot do. Electricity is one of them, but there are ways that you can circumvent that by doing small units of grid that can be. Yes. So too many questions are coming, but if you leave me, I'll keep going on and on and on. This is right up my street. I like to communicate with the people, and hopefully I'll continue doing this for the next 8 years by His grace. So electricity, we've already said we'll clean up Anambra, we'll turn waste to energy. Today, we will have the biggest recycling plant built by Chikas. It's a private one, but it's a massive one, huge capacity. We can turn waste to energy. Okay, there's so much you can do. We've not tapped solar. Okay, windmills, we've not. You know, these things are applicable abroad. We've not actually, because we're so lazy in leadership. that all we're thinking is every month, go cap in hand to Abuja, get the monthly allocation, come back. We don't even think of how to generate funds. Okay? And then act as a cashier, share the money, and then go back the next month. That's leadership. That's not what we want to be more creative about leadership next. What is your position on open grazing in Anambra? Can your government tackle the challenges? What are your plans for headers in the state? Okay, I think Asaba dealt with open grazing, so they've made it easy too. But ranching, to me, is the way to go. You see, the world over, you don't see herds on the streets. That's very archaic. That is very, there's nothing modern about it. Things can be done better now. So we will encourage ranches, okay? And we want to encourage anyone who wants to go into that line of agricultural work to take off, okay? And this will sort of reduce the tension between communities, between tribes, between our peoples. All these killings, why? Because of cow, because we want to eat beef. It saddens me that a place I call home, a country I call mine, has so gotten to a level where these clashes become normal. So we need to find a new normal, and a creative governor can do that. And I keep saying, Ben is not better than anyone else, but I'm just going to do things differently. Prof, any more questions?
I think at this point we should be thanking Chief Etiaba. There's 3 questions coming, but we cannot. You still can send the questions and we'll forward the questions to him, and hopefully we'll be able to communicate directly to you if you leave your email addresses. Thank you very much, Chief Etiaba. It's been a very, very engaging conversation. And for those of you who made time to be with us on Facebook or Zoom, we thank you for your time and for your interest in the forthcoming governorship election in Anambra State. And we wish you the best of luck, Chief Etiaba.
Thank you so much, Prof. Do I get the final say?
Yeah.
Do I get to say thank you?
Yes, Chief.
Oh, I know it's gone.
I think it's gone.
Okay. So just one final word. I want to say thank you to you for choosing to host me ahead of all the other aspirants, over 30 of us. So maybe you're seeing something that others will probably get to see later. But above all, apart from saying thank you to you, to say thank you to everyone that took part. Thank you for your time. And I hope I've done justice to the majority of your questions. And if there are questions you haven't asked, you can reach me at Ben Etiaba. Those are my handles, social media handles at Ben Etiaba. Please, thank you so much. And I say thank you to the Most High.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.